Should you buy the Tobin Breakwater Pro X1, currently available on sale at Costco for $2.99? By the end of this video, you'll have the answer. And spoiler alert, it's a qualified yes. I want to go over 2 complaints that I've heard about this kayak, but the bottom line is it may be one of the best deals of the summer. So let's get into it. Let's start with a quick unboxing. Frankly, I despise the slow, methodical unboxing videos that seem to be popular these days. So let's have a look at what's inside. Okay, so this is how it comes in the bag. Everything is packed inside, and we'll get to that in a minute. But this is a good time to address one of the complaints that I've heard, and that is that the bag is a little bit flimsy and it tends to break. What is reported is that the seams pull out. It looks pretty sturdy to me, but apparently if people abuse them, then the seams tend to pull out. And I would say definitely do not pull up on, try to lift it by these straps, for example, because they'll surely pull out. There is a carry handle here. If you don't want to put it on your back, you can use this. But what I would say is if you pull it on your back, you probably don't want to just grab it by this or grab it by the sternum strap, because these will rip out. So what you want to do probably is undo the sternum strap, of course. And then when you lift it, go from the upright position and then just carefully lift it up with both straps, with this carry strap and one of the arm things. Then gently swing it over your back. Put this on thusly. And this is how you're going to carry it down to the water. And of course you can attach this sternum strap if you want, probably for longer distances perhaps, but I don't think it's really necessary. I wouldn't say these plastic clasps are of the highest quality. Finding it, there we go. It is a little close to my neck here, but I suppose I could pull these and adjust them a little bit. Yeah, that's better. This is, it's not that heavy. I feel like I could walk a long way with this if I had to. So this is good, but just keep in mind that it's a $299 option, and a high quality backpack is going to cost you between $100 and $200. So the fact that they have a maybe slightly lower quality pack is reasonable, and it doesn't seem that bad to me. Let's go ahead and unpack it and see what we got inside. All right, so we've got everything unpacked. Let's look at what we've got in the box. We've got the pump and the hose, which is just a screw-on connection. This is the seat. It's got straps for adjustment. There's Velcro on the bottom, which you put in the bottom of the kayak, and then you can adjust it fore and aft, and then the straps attach to the side and pull the seat up. And then this is the footrest, and that goes up here. I'll show you those straps in a minute. And then there's 2 skegs. There's a long and a short. I think the long is probably better to use if you can. It's going to give you the most stability. And then the shorter is maybe for shallow water, or if you for some reason want less stability, straight line stability. And then this white thing here is just a little stiffener that goes up in the bow. And then the paddle comes in, well, there's 5 pieces. There's the 2 ends. This is the middle. And these are the outer parts that go in the paddle. And one thing I should point out is on this thing, you're going to see that on this side here, there's 3 holes. If you put in the middle one, then the 2 paddles are parallel. But if you want to offset them a little bit, you can do that. So I'm just going to put this together real quick. So you see what it looks like. So the end pieces, they're just these little button snap things, you know. You can do the 2 ends, do them however you want, doesn't matter. And then we do the middle one. I'm going to use the middle hole. There's your paddle. Looks pretty good, pretty lightweight. Seems to work okay. So that's all you get in the pack, except I forgot to mention, this is there's a few patches in here. And then this is a tool that you use to, I guess, to change the valve. You don't need any of this for normal use. This is just for repairs. So let's inflate it. I want to show you how that goes. And then we'll put in the seat and the footrest. There's the instructions, of course, which I choose to ignore. But the one thing that you probably want to pay attention to is there's 3 valves. There's 2 at the back here, 1 on each side, and then there's 1 in the center for the floor. So these back ones inflate the sides, and then the one down here inflates the floor. So let's start with the back ones. While I'm doing that, I want to talk about the quality level of this unit. As I said, this one retails for $399, and you've probably seen them on eBay or Amazon for $100 to $150. Those are the cheap ones, and there are a couple of reasons to avoid those. Excuse me, but this comes with a gauge, and you just pump it up to 10 psi, and then you're good to go. And then you just remove this thing. Everyone, I have to apologize. I got a little sidetracked when I was pumping the valve there, but I wanted to finish up the dialogue about why the cheap ones are not viable. And there's 2 obvious reasons, and there's probably a few more, but one is they don't tend to hold up and they tend to start leaking at the seams. If a kayak leaks at the seams, there's nothing you can do. You can't patch it. It's not like a puncture. So they do tend to leak, and they might leak in your first season, or sometimes you'll use it for a summer perhaps, and then you put it away for the winter and you break it out in the spring and then it leaks because sitting over winter, the seams just gave out. So then you got this big junk piece of plastic, and it's just kind of a bummer. And then the second thing is the pressure. This one holds 10 psi, which makes it a lot more rigid. The cheap ones tend to hold 2 to 3 psi, so they're really almost like swimming pool toys. They're really soft and flexible, so they don't hold up. The more rigid a kayak is, the better. So if you have an inflatable, the higher pressure makes a lot of sense. So that's why you want to spend just a little bit more. This is a cheap kayak. They go up to $1,000, as I said, but for the money, this is a good sweet spot. Those are the reasons why you shouldn't buy a cheap one. I'm not going to bore you with the other side. Okay, well, I've spared you having to watch me pump it up, but for the record, it took about 50 to 60 pumps to pump up the sides each, and then more like 100 to do the bottom. About 200 pumps on this big old pump. It was not bad. Just took a few minutes. Here's the seat. I want to show you how this goes in. It's got these two long straps, and there's a Velcro here, and you just got to figure out where you want it. And there's Velcro on the bottom, so you just place it down here. I'm going to put it in kind of the middle because I'm kind of a medium-sized dude. And then these straps go on these little side things here. It would be kind of cool if they had some clips where you could set it to your own length and then just leave it, but that's not how it works. You got to thread it through each time. Not a big deal. So then I'm just going to leave this so it kind of sits up on its own. The good news is once you sit inside it, you can just tug on these and pull up the back or release it, whatever you need to do. So you put in these two sides. Okay, so I got this one in. And then the footrest, if you look carefully, there are 3 places you can put the footrest. So I'll show you those. And this is quite easy. You just take the footrest. Again, I'm going to choose the middle one. You can see there's 1, 2, 3 places you can put them. And so I'm going to slide it in the middle thing here. And you just push it to one side and you get the other strap over. And then you've got clasps on the side of the boat, just in front of where the seat ones go. And you just thread it through. Same idea. So you just thread it through. And again, you can pull it up to adjust the angle of the footrest. Okay, so I've just cinched these up to take care of the footrest. And then the next thing is just the stiffener. And you can see it's round toward the front. So you just put this way. And then there's 2 pockets in here. And you slide one side in, slide it all the way in, and then you can just kind of bend it and catch the other side. And what that does is gives you this little water spray shield, I guess. All right, so that's the kayak fully put together. All right, folks, so we're all assembled, and the whole process took me maybe 10 minutes, and I've never done it before. The only thing you need to look out for is you're supposed to inflate the sides first and the floor last, so do that. And again, it's 10 pounds, so it's pretty rigid. But now is a good time to talk about the second complaint about this kayak, and that is, see how the rails are thin? They're not like big round pontoons like you see on some of the cheap ones. That creates a problem, and it creates a solution. The solution is that it's narrower and sleeker, and it's faster. So if you want to cover distance, then this is probably a good bet. Again, it's not going to be as efficient as a rigid kayak. However, it's going to be more efficient than the typical ones you see with the big round pontoons on the side. So if your goal is just to go out on a lake and paddle around, futz around in a small little area, then maybe the larger pontoons are fine. But if you want to go anywhere, travel across a lake or travel any distance, then that's where this narrower profile comes in. But the disadvantage is that it's more tippy, okay? Now, I personally used to whitewater kayak when I was young. I don't do it anymore, but I probably will be comfortable with the instability, if you will, as a sacrifice, because I do want to cross lakes and go to different beaches and things like that. So I want to do that. So this is probably going to be good for me. But if you are the type that just wants to paddle around and stability is really important, then maybe this is not the kayak for you. So that would be one of the reasons not to buy it. So far, I'm really happy with the unpacking, what everything looks like, how it goes together, how it pumps up, the quality of it, the rigidity of it, everything is good. But the next step is to try it on the lake in a real life situation, which I'm going to take it down to nearby Donner Lake. And I'm going to go through the whole process of carrying it down the lake in a backpack, opening up the backpack, pumping it up. And I believe I can go down to the lake and then just throw the pump and squish up the backpack and just stuff it under the bow or under the back. And I can just bring it along with me. I don't have to leave it on the beach if I don't want to. So let's take it down the lake and try it out. And when I'm done with the paddle around the lake, I'm going to give you my final assessment. And hopefully it agrees with what I've said so far. So let's go. I just want to show you a little hack here on deflating. It comes with these sealed caps, and then you see this little center thing in here. And to release the pressure, you just push it down, but you can also push it down and rotate your finger and it'll hold the valve open. So that's what you want to do when you disassemble it. It's going to be noisy, but I'll show you how that works. Push down, and then rotate to the right. And this thing will stay down. You know you've done it right because it stays down, and then you can further squish it down. So that's how you do that. All right, so as I said, packing it up is just the reverse of building it. So you're just going to fold these two guys in. Now remember, the valves are open, so as I squish it, it'll release air. these caps are off, etc. And then what we want to do is fold it over on itself here. Okay. And then we're going to fold it in kind of fourths. Fold that guy down. And you can push it, get more air out of it. Fold this guy over so these guys meet in the middle. And then we're going to fold it over on itself, hopefully. Push it down. You see it folds down pretty small. This backpack has an inner strap where you can keep everything more stable. And then I guess the procedure is throw it in the backpack. And remember to, if you take it home wet, you want to unpack it and let it dry out. Or if you're at a beach or something and you can let it dry out there, that's fine. But it needs to be 100% dry because you put it away wet, you're asking for trouble. As you can see, I'm not an expert on this. And then we just need to put all the other stuff in. Take the hose off the pump so it doesn't get kinked. Comes off and then it has a little twist thing. Drop that in here. Drop the hose in here. Drop the stiffener in there. Footrest. The two skegs. We're going to try this strap. I think you're supposed to use it just to keep the boat in here so it doesn't become unstable. Cinch it down. And then the seat's kind of wide, so I'm just going to put it flat on top here. And then we zip her up. Cinch the side straps that goes under the handle so you can use the handle. Cinch that up. Don't get too crazy. That's the other one. Fits in the pack quite easily. I'm glad the pack it's a little bit oversized so you don't have to work so hard to cram it in. And then Bob's your uncle. We're ready to go. So let's go try it out. All right, folks. So I came down to Donner Lake here, repeated the process, did the quick inflate. Took less than 10 minutes, nice and easy. Put in the long skeg, and I'm paddling out on Donner Lake right now. And you can see all the nice houses here along the lake. And I think this lake is something like 3 miles long and maybe half to 3/4 mile wide, something like that. The boat feels nice. I'm moving along nice. As far as the tippiness, you know, it's just a matter of understanding how a kayak works, you know, how you have to keep your weight centered. One thing I've noticed not having boated for a long time is that when you pull on the paddle, it affects the tilt a little bit. So you have to kind of brace and compensate for that. I'm not feeling the tippiness as a huge detriment right now. In fact, I like the idea that I can come out here and cover some ground. You'll see a lot of SUP folks out here. The more adventurous ones have gone a little bit farther from the beach. A lot of them are concentrated around the beach area. I would say based on my ability level, which I consider not to be very high, the tippiness is not a problem for me. All right, so in the distance there you can see a big motorboat that's kicking off a big wake. So let's see how this does in the wake. It's a pretty good wave. I'm not too worried about it. Just got to keep my balance. Okay, here it comes right now. All right, here it is. Oh yeah, it's pretty. I think you just roll with it. That was okay. That would be a concern, you know, with the stability, but I think we're fine. Oh my God, there's a family of ducks. Brown head, I forget what those are, but look at the youngins. That's beautiful. Hey mama, you're all right. You can see that the houses are kind of ending here. And then if you look carefully, you can see those colorful people on the docks there. And those are public docks. So you can just come there, first come, first serve. You can spend the day out on the dock having a picnic or whatever. Bring your paddleboard or kayak or whatever. and just enjoy the day. Oh, and for those of you who don't know, this is Donner Lake. It's in Truckee, California, and it's about, I guess, out on, as the crow flies, probably 10 miles north of Lake Tahoe. And those big mountains up there, that's Donner Summit. And the Sugar Bowl ski area is up that way. Donner Party wanted to get over, but we're hit by that awful storm in October of, what was it, 1849? Maybe it was another date. That was the gold rush. All right, here's a close-up of the dock here, and it says Public Pier. Okay, the sign says Public Pier. Share the public pier, we're all friends here. Take your trash home, don't litter. Open hours 5 a.m., 12 a.m., midnight. Oh boy, you can come here pretty late. No overnight tie-ups or camping. Use at your own risk. All right, so there you have it. That's the story on the dock. Now, it is mid-July right now, so it's a busy time of the summer, but it's a Thursday. On the weekends, these docks are going to fill up really early, but it's around 9:30, 10 a.m. right now, and you can still get a dock, which is pretty cool. All right, it looks like we've got some sailboats here. All those colorful masts are folded up sails, and they look like they're all the same type of sailboat. So maybe it's one of those small boats that they like to compete on. I wouldn't know the name of them, but if you do know the name of them, you can mention it in the comments. I think we'll have a little bit better view of the red and white one they're putting in the water right now. Yeah, I'm not sure how clear it's coming out on the camera, but it's just a tiny little boat. All right, folks, it's time for final thoughts on this kayak. I've paddled about 1.5 miles up the lake. I've just turned around, now I'm heading back. You can see inaugural paddle is going to be about 3 miles, and that's something I like. I like covering a little bit of ground. So I want to talk about the 2 caveats that I mentioned at the beginning. One is the quality of the backpack, which in all honesty, I think is totally appropriate for the price range. And I think if you treat it with care, it's going to last a long time. I think the people that had problems with the backpack are the ones that just kind of yanked it from the ground and pulled it up really hard and didn't, treat it with care. So I'm going to treat mine with care, and I suspect it'll last a long time. If it doesn't, I'll make a mention in the comments below. The other thing is the narrowness and the quote-unquote tippiness of the kayak. I think unless you're just a really novice paddler, I don't think you're going to have a problem with that. It's not a problem for me. I've dealt with the wake from boats. It's not very windy and not very choppy out here today, but definitely the wake from the boats has caused a little bit of tippiness, but I just like the idea that it's pretty efficient. It feels really stiff. So to answer the question, should you buy it, especially at that discounted price of $2.99 at Costco? 100% yes. So unless you just really want more of a toy to paddle around, not go anywhere, and you value stability over anything else, and you just want to use it for a lot of kids and jump off and climb back on and swim around and all that stuff, then maybe one with a big round pontoons would be better, and even though it's not as efficient. But as far as for what it is and the price point, I think it's a good deal. So anyway, I appreciate you coming along. I hope the review was useful. I hope you'll like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I do more travel and outdoor stuff, not so much reviews. So again, thanks for coming along, and we'll see you next time.